Hello, welcome to another episode of The Well-Appointed Desk. My name is Anna, and I have an e-reader problem. Okay, it's not really a problem. I love to read, as most people who follow this regularly probably know by now, but really what I wanted to talk about today was the newest addition to my collection, which is the XTEink X4. I brought everybody else so that you could see that while I'm not super techy, I have a lot of experience with these devices. And the bonus is that I'm not really techy, so I can tell you from a non-tech standpoint sort of why I like the XTEink and why you might like it too. So first off, I do have a Kindle. This is a Kindle Paperwhite. It was purchased secondhand for a very reasonable price. It is a fairly recent model. I had an earlier one, but it had literally the battery wasn't keeping a charge. It couldn't be yada, yada, yada. Anyway, in retrospect, I might have tried harder to sort of resuscitate it because I really hate the idea that I still have Amazon devices. However, my husband, lovely man that he is, continues to keep a Kindle Unlimited subscription, mostly because occasionally I like to read Kindle Unlimited books because for me, they feel free, even though I know he's paying for the subscription. So anyway, I'm not going to talk a great deal about the Kindle. It is not a regularly used device. It is mostly for reading Kindle Unlimited books, and it is the green, I think it's called Jade. And because I bought this secondhand, I was able to get one that did not have the ad-supported thing on there, which made me feel a little less tied into the whole Kindle environment. However, I have been a loyalist to Kobo for probably a decade. I mean, I have had Kindle devices because, yes, it's very convenient. It works really easily in the US with Libby, which is the library ebook lending system. So if you live in the US and you want to check books out from multiple libraries, like I live in a town where we have 3 different library networks, and Kobo, while it does allow for a connection with Overdrive, which is part like the same system that runs Libby, you can only check books out from one library at a time. Then you have to log out of the library, log into another library in order to check books out from another library. So you can't have a book from library 1 and a book from library 2 on your device at the same time if you're running on a Kobo. You can, however, do that with Kindles, which is part of why I keep my Kindle around. It's mostly for checking out books from the library and Kindle Unlimited. However, most of my books come from the same library branch or the same library system in Kansas City. And so I mostly read on my Kobo. This is an older version. This is a Libra 2. It is the black and white model. And it is super coveted. Again, I got this one secondhand. It was refurbished, but people love this one because it has the physical buttons on the side, so you're not having to swipe when you're reading your book. You can just hold it in your hand like this and push the buttons up and down. And then it has a sensor in it, so if you flip it over, you can do the same thing with your other hand. So if you've been holding the book with this hand, your ebook with this hand, and you want to flip it over, you can do it with this. The thing with Kobo, obviously, is that you either have to purchase books from Kobo or some other system that is not Amazon. So it is definitely a great way to break away, but if you already have a lot of books purchased through Kindle, you won't be able to bring your books over because Amazon and Kindle have locked that so that you can't get your books out and onto a different platform. So Kobo would not be recommended for you if you've got a whole library of books that are through the Kindle service. So that said, I either buy my books from the Kobo store, which allows me to download them and save them to my computer. So should the Kobo store ever go away, I do have copies of the books I input them into a system called, an application called Calibre. I don't know, it depends on who you ask. And then at that point I can reformat them to go onto this device, or in this case onto my XTEink X4. So that's my pitch for this. Mine's covered in cat hair as usual, and I have the like little magnetic case. So normally when I open it up, it will just open straight to my book. And a lot of people really, you know, if you've been dealing with Kindles that open into like a Kindle ad that you have to swipe up before you can get to your book, not having to do that is real nice. And the other thing people talk about Kobo a lot is that it just shows me the books that I'm reading, the books that I own, and whatever collection I have chosen to be up here. So to actually get to their shop, you actually have to, I think, go to Discover, this little tab here, to open the Kobo bookstore, which I rarely do. You can view your holds from the library, or you can like just buy books from, or rent books from the library. But yeah, so a lot less advertising. This is the big appeal of the Kobo for a lot of people. So anyway, that's my pitch for Kobo. I really like this device. However, you will notice it's kind of large. It doesn't fit in my pocket. I had started researching the idea in my efforts to get away from doom scrolling and being on my phone and all that kind of thing, that I was looking at the Books Palma, which now is only available as a color e-screen edition called the Books Palma 2 Pro, I think, something like that, or the Books Palma Pro 2. And it is several $100s. Like, it is quite expensive. It runs Android, which means that you can have an app like the Kindle app, you can have the Libby app, you can have an audiobook app, etc. You know, all on the Books Palma devices. However, I was not in a position to spend $300-ish on yet another e-reader, because clearly I already have enough. I have enough. So when I found out about the XTEink, the first thing that caught my attention is that this little gadget is under $100, depending on where you buy it. If you buy it directly from XTEink, from their website, it's about $69. There is an option for a 10% off coupon if you join their newsletter. And I hate to admit it, but recently they have made these available in the United States through an Amazon shop. And I confess that I did buy mine through Amazon because I had read that someone had done that and was able to get it essentially with Prime shipping or with 2-day shipping, rather than a lot of people who were ordering directly from China were waiting 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes longer. There were issues with like not getting shipping notifications, etc. So I was willing to make a purchase on Amazon for this particular device, simply because I wanted a way to get a hold of it quickly, safely. And obviously there is that policy with Amazon that if you do not get your device, you know, they will give you your money back without a ton of questions or anything. So I felt like it was a safe way to go. If you are looking to get one, I got mine with standard shipping because I do not have Amazon Prime. With standard shipping, I ordered it on Saturday and it arrived on Monday. So if this is something you're interested in, that might be the way to go. So mine has no case. It is super thin. I have it sitting here next to a B7 Slim Mark's Edit notebook, just for scale's sake. I should probably also, like, I don't know, grab a field notes. So this is something that's slightly more common for most people to know the size of. I like this because it is essentially the same size as a B7 Slim. Like, this would actually fit, I think, in the little pocket that's on the front here. But here it is with the field notes. yes, the Field Notes is bigger. So just to give you a sense of scale, it's about the same thickness as well, as if it's a little bit thicker than a Field Notes. So there you have it. It's just a little smaller and a little bit thicker than a Field Notes. So the XTEink, what is great about this is that there's a huge community that is supporting developing new firmware for it. The original sort of operating system for this device was very, very minimal. So there are people who have been building improvements, which is great and makes this such a great community. Like, people are really active and involved. There are people who are making cases for it, and different things. So I will turn this on. So mine is actually already running what is known as Crosspoint, which is a version of the firmware that was created sort of by people who are fans of this technology. And it immediately added, it adds the Bookerly typeface, which is what a lot of people are familiar with from Kindle. That's their default typeface. It created this sort of home screen. It included, so because this device is very inexpensive, it does not have a touch screen. All activity has to happen with these two buttons down here, the rocker button on the side. There's a power button, a reset button, and all of the memory is on a micro SD card that is included with the device, though it is recommended to upgrade your micro SD card with a purchase of a name brand SD card, because obviously they probably buy them in bulk and there may not be the best quality that come with it. So upgrading to a SanDisk or, something that you purchase from your local computer supplies store is probably a good addition to this device. So anyway, in this case, I can browse my files, my books. It does support Wi-Fi, so you can do file transfers through Wi-Fi, and there are people developing software that will allow this device to talk to your phone. So if you wanted to basically send a PDF or another document from your phone or from your computer or whatever to this device, you can do that. I feel like if you're going to be pulling data off of your computer, you might as well just pop the micro SD card out, stick it in your computer, and just drag it over. It will take a half a second to do that, where trying to Wi-Fi stuff over might be make it unnecessarily complicated. So anyway, we will go back up and open the book. And so this is what I have set. I have mine set with the smallest typeface right now, just because for me that makes it easier to read than having 6 words on the page, because obviously this is a very tiny device. I know a lot of people like reading it horizontally, which you can do. And so the rocker buttons on the side, just turn your pages, so up or down. And then these buttons here will do the same thing. So this button on the right hand side, left or right, will flip pages. If you hold this button down for like a beat of 2 seconds or something like that, count to 1, 2, 3, it will jump chapters. So if you hold it down while pushing down, it'll jump from chapter 6 to chapter 7. If you push up, it'll jump back to the previous chapter, kind of a thing. So very handy. One of the things that the Crosspoint allows was some of this additional settings. People are continuing to add features to it. There are other firmware, and again, I am not techie, they're calling them branches, I think, or so like other people are taking what was created with the Crosspoint and making different ones. There's one called CrossPet that makes things feel like almost like a Pokemon or a Tamagotchi kind of vibe. People are starting to create software to run on these, just a bunch of different things. Hi guys, video editing Anna here. I forgot to mention one thing about the XTEink that could be a make or break for you. This device does not have a backlight or a internal light source of any type. So if you like to read at night or in low light conditions, this may not be the device for you because you will need an external light. I have found that under most circumstances that I'm using this device, I have not needed anything other than the ambient light in a room. I tend to read in pretty low light conditions anyway, but just so you know, there's no light in here. If you want to add, like because of the magnet on the back, you could use one of those like little portable selfie lights or something like that that people use for their phone. Probably would work great as a light source, or just, you know, use your overheads, use a desk lamp, that kind of thing to read by. So for most people, I think it'll be fine, but that can be a sort of make or break. So anyway, back to the video. So, and then when I'm done with it, I just push the power button to go to sleep. And then in this case, I have a bunch of sleep screens, which you can upload yourself. I found a website online that will convert images into the bitmap format that you need in order to have them operate properly on here. And I can put a link in the notes to what that website is. So basically, if you have images on your computer, photographs, things that you've downloaded off the internet that you probably shouldn't have, which is what I did in the case of the Hokusai, you can just sort of run them. And this is all for personal use. So like, I'm not selling this image or anything like that. So I don't feel terrible about it. It's just nice to have something pretty to look at. So I ordered a 3D printed case for mine off of Etsy. It should be here in a couple days. And the way the case that I bought works is that it slides in, and then when I'm not using it, I can flip it over and slide it in this way, so I protect the screen. A lot of people, the biggest concern is these are glass screens, so if you drop it, it will crack. There is a screen protector that you can put on it, but a lot of people have said that it makes it a little bit shinier and a little less matte finish like most people like on their e-devices. So I have not put mine on yet, but overall, I think this is a great solution for doom scrolling. If that is something that has been bugging you over the last few months or years, being able to just have a little device that if I'm standing in line reading on this, I don't think, like, it's a little less performative. I don't, you know, for lack of a better word, I feel like if I were to be standing in line waiting for a coffee, waiting to order a coffee, and I pull my Kobo out, it's just, one, it's much heavier. It's not going to fit in a coat pocket. This is definitely going to fit in a coat pocket. I'm less likely to take it out with me, and therefore less likely to be reading and more likely to be scrolling on my phone. So I think this gets away from that. One of the things people have talked about is there is a magnet in the back of this that is supposed to enable this to be stuck onto the back of a phone. I'm recording on my phone, so that's not going to work. My phone is in a case, so that doesn't work. They do include magnets, so I could put a magnet on the back of my phone to stick this, but I have a smaller iPhone device, and so it's not a perfect fit if you have like the really big iPhones or similar. This device will fit perfectly on the back, so if you want to be able to just flip your phone over and read on a e-reader, e-screen, I like the idea of just having this with me instead of my phone all the time, and just being able to stand and read for a little while, read while I'm waiting for something to happen, read while I'm boiling water for noodles, you know, that kind of thing. So, so far, I'm really pleased with the device. It does take a little finessing. If you are someone who is stuck in the Kindle ecosystem, then this is probably not the device for you, unless you have decided that you want to read all classics, in which case I highly recommend Standard, I believe it's called Standard eBooks, which has been re-releasing public domain classics with beautiful covers and, you know, formatting and the whole bit. So that is a great option if you have not read, you know, the top 100 classic novels of our day. That's a great way to sort of add those to an XTEink device, because those are all available as EPUB. I'm trying to think what else. That's it. That's all I've got for you. I love this device. I've only had it for a couple days and I already think it's amazing. It's very reasonably priced. I will put a link to the Amazon shop where you can purchase it if you would like to. And if you use my link, I get pennies that will maybe someday be enough pennies to pay for the one I bought. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me any questions, comments, or concerns in the link in the comments below. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.